All right, what's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well today. Today we're going to be unboxing and reviewing Halston Z-14. It's a bit of a blast from the past. It was released in 1974, and the noses behind this one were Vincent Marcello and Max Gavari. Don't know if I'm butchering the names a little bit. Max Gavari, you might know. He did Antonio Puig's Quorum. That's a pretty popular one. So, you know, big work back in the past. I'm not sure if he does anything nowadays. But yeah, so we'll see. I picked this up for around $13. It was like $12.60 on FragranceNet. So you should be able to get this for pretty darn cheap. And this is a 75 mil, so not a super small one. It's not like it's a 30 mil. So decent price. The box itself is very nondescript. It just says Halston Z-14 Cologne, because this is an Eau de Cologne. And this is a 2.5 ounce. So there's nothing very special about that. So the notes of this fragrance are as follows. Let's see, we got top notes of cypress, lemon, bergamot, green notes, basil, and gardenia. Middle notes of cinnamon, vetiver, patchouli, coriander, cedar, geranium, and jasmine. So those are sort of the middle notes of the time period. You know, these are kind of the usual suspects of fragrances around those years. And then base notes of leather, oak moss, benzoin, amber, musk, and tonka bean. Okay, so yeah, pretty basic run-of-the-mill notes there. Back in the day, they used to really focus on a lot of notes. You know, they would tell you a ton of different notes. Nowadays, maybe they'll give you 3 or 4 for each layer of the fragrance. And it doesn't mean that it was more complex necessarily back then, but it's just kind of the marketing of the age. So anyway, so yeah, so this one has kind of been compared to Tom Ford's Italian Cypress. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that one. I smelled it one time, don't own it. Personally, I'm not a super big fan of the Tom Ford fragrances. But anyway, yeah, let's get unboxing and we'll see what we got, okay? Okay, so let's see. Here's the container. Okay, it actually looks pretty nice. It's sort of an oblong shape, though. I thought it was going to be a perfect circle, but it's sort of like a bent piece of glass. It fits nicely in the hand, I will say, but as you can see, it's not a perfectly round, you know, circular bottle here. So very interesting presentation. It doesn't look super cheap, although I will say this cap feels a little bit cheap right off the bat. It doesn't say anything on either side. So it doesn't say Halston Z-14. It has no markings signifying what it even is. So that's kind of interesting. Let's check out the cap. Ah, yes. Okay, so a cheap plastic cap. Nothing very special about that. And then as you'll see, the atomizer is metal, but there is no collar for the atomizer. So it's just a bare crimp. So enough chit chat. Let's give it a spray and see how the atomizer performs at least. Okay, average atomizer. It doesn't shoot very far. I can smell it from here. Very aromatic. I definitely get that cypress, and I get the musk ketone of the era. You know, they used a lot of that musk ketone, very strong musk, but it just has that signature kind of 70s, 80s, you know, that sort of a feel to it. And even though this is a cologne, it's like the colognes of the time. They were beasts, man. They had pretty good performance. So I'll say moderate to strong projection, even though it's a cologne. A very aromatic, relatively fresh, slightly dated, but I mean, in certain situations, I think you could definitely still pull this off today at any age. Maybe a little bit of the leatheriness, but it's very aromatic. So I'm getting that mixture of the vetiver and patchouli, but that coriander comes through. The cypress definitely comes through. Some of the green notes keep it nice and fresh. So some people had compared this to Sung Om by Alfred Sung. Maybe I get it, but barely. It's just that greenness, you know. Sung for Om is like it's like Irish Spring if you made it into a cologne. Like literally smells exactly like Irish Spring. So I can see the comparisons maybe with that cypress and the lemon and the green notes up top, but the rest of it is very, you know, kind of musky and sort of goes its own direction. Geranium was definitely a note of the time, and it's a shame you don't see geranium as much anymore. I definitely appreciate some of the notes that they used to use back in the day, some of the ingredients that they used back in the day that they really don't use as much anymore, and it's sort of unfortunate, but you know, things evolve, art evolves, right? So as far as smell, I would probably give this maybe an 8 out of 10. I will say, if you are not a fan of the kind of more dated fragrances, I personally am, I appreciate them. But if you're kind of like, I like the kind of more modern takes on fragrances, you definitely want to get your nose on it first. Blind buy, sort of safe. Again, if you like sort of the more dated fragrances, I will say it is super cheap though. So for the price, for what it is, I think it's a great you know, a great value. So this fragrance you could probably pull off in spring, fall, and maybe summer, but again, in the heat of summer, this might be a little much. So I would say this probably in the transitional months, you know, the spring and the fall is where this is really gonna shine. You might be able to pull it off in winter because again, there is that cinnamon. So there's a little bit of warmth to it, and that musk really does come through pretty powerfully. So yeah, I would say probably spring, summer, spring, fall, and winter. So I appreciate that you guys had recommended me trying this one out because it's actually really good. I'm just gonna have to remember, because I have so many different bottles now, I'm just gonna remember this weird looking bottle, that's the Z-14, because it literally doesn't say on there. Oh wait, no, okay, so there's a tiny sticker on the bottom that says Halston Z-14, but that's because they have to put it in there. They have to put the distributor and, you know, the net weight and everything like that, but nothing on the front. So yeah, I would definitely recommend checking it out if you're into those sort of fragrances from that era. I think it's a really good take on it, and I think it was a great buy for the price. Let me know what you guys think in the comments if you're familiar with Z-14 and what you think of it. And thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and I'll see you in the next one.